Hi, I'm Lauren from Lauren May Beauty here on YouTube, and today I'm super excited because I'm going to be showing you 4 different looks that are going to make colorful eyeshadows a little bit more wearable. I love bright colors, I love fun, like different eyeshadow looks, but I know that in the pan they can look so pretty, but once you get them on your eye, feeling beautiful in them can be a little bit of a challenge. So with the True Naked Sunset and Days palettes, I'm hoping to show you 4 different looks that can help you branch out with some color and get a little inspired. I'm gonna be taking elements from both of these palettes. I wanted some grounded neutrals, and then I wanted to be able to put in some fun pops of color to give the looks a little bit of a twist. And then to help round out the looks, I'm also going to be using the Lid Lock Primer. I'm going to be using the Perfect Point Plus eyeliner, as well as the Get In Line Active Liquid Liner. And then to finish it all off, I'm going to be using the COVERGIRL Exhibitionist Mascara, which I really love. So if you're ready for some color in your life, let's get into look number 1. All right, guys, so let's get started with look number 1. I'm going to start off by using the Lid Lock Primer, and I'm going to be putting a little bit of this onto the lid and tapping out with my fingers. I find this primer can be kind of sticky, so it really helps to adhere the shadows onto your lid. Now, because that primer can tend to be a little bit sticky, I do like to go in and use this matte shade from the Sunset palette, and I'm going to be setting my crease with it just so that way I can get a nice blend. I like using the stickiness for like shimmery shades, but when I want a really good matte like transition blend going on, I like to set it, and it really does help give me a more effortless blend. So for this look, we're going to be going with a green on the lid, which I've been loving green. It's like been one of my favorite colors lately to wear on the eyes. But to make that green a little bit more grounded, I'm going to be going in with some brown. So I'm going to take the lightest matte shade from the Sunset palette, and I'm going to be buffing this into the crease as my transition. I like to just work softly, and you can always build up your pigmentation. I have just a light transition of that brown shade going on. Now I'm going to go in with the darker matte shade from the palette, and I've also switched to a smaller blending brush. This is just to give me a little bit more precision. We're going to be working this on the outer part of the eye, and this is going to help give depth. I'm also going to switch between the two of those browns as I need to get a nice blend going. And as there's less product on my brush, I'm able to bring it up and blend out edges really softly. I definitely like to slowly add product. I find it's the best way to work, where you won't get too much color or pigment in one place, and you're able to just easily blend. So definitely once you have less product on your brush, that's when you can kind of move your brush up to the outer part of the eye. All right, I feel good about this like warm brown we have going on our eyes. I'm actually gonna go back into the primer. I'm just gonna put a little bit more of this on my lid. Again, tapping out with my finger. This is just gonna make sure that when we put that green down, it's going to be really sticky there and really just give us the most pigmentation possible. And the green we're gonna be using is from the Dazed palette. It's so pretty, and I feel like it's kind of a Kelly green, but I think with these browns, it's gonna turn a little bit more olive. So I'm just tapping that on with my finger. You'll see from a lot of these different tutorials that I tend to use my fingers a lot. I think they work well. They're a great tool, and they're free. They come on your hands. So I like using my fingers to apply pigment. Now that we have that green laid down, I'm going back in with the brown brush that we used. This had that dark brown on it. I'm just kind of blending the inner corner, making sure we have that a little bit more blended than we can get with just our finger. I'm also going to be going back in with that deep brown and just kind of working it into the green and also into that outer corner so we get a nice blend, and just kind of working between the two of them. For the inner corner, I'm going to go in with this soft gold in the Sunset palette. I'm going to be buffing this onto the inner corner. I'm also going to be taking the tiniest amount onto this inner part of the lid just to give it a golden look. To work on the lower lash line, I'm going to be taking the first matte brown that we used, and I'm going to be buffing this onto the lower lash line. And then to add a little bit more depth to that lower lash line, I'm taking the darker matte brown as well, and I'm going to be keeping that toward the outer half of the eye underneath the lash line. For liner on the top lashes, I'm going to be using the Get In Line liquid eyeliner. I usually don't do a ton of just liner on the top, but I think this look will be really grounded and look really great with a little bit of liner on the top. So fingers crossed as we do, I'm going to make a wing. Who do we think we were kidding? Small wings and me, we just don't. So we went statement. Let's get this look finished up. I'm also going to go in with a pencil liner. This is the Perfect Point Plus, and I'm going to be running a little bit on my lower lash line, connecting it with the top wing, and then I'm going to just blend that out with my finger. I'm also going to tightline with this. And before I go in with mascara, I do want to just kind of deepen up that lower lash line again, now that we have that liner down. And I'm just going to be putting the darkest matte brown and just blending it into that black liner. And for the final step, I'm going to be going in with the Exhibitionist mascara. I'm going to be putting on a couple coats on my top and bottom lashes. Alright guys, so here's the finished look all zoomed up close with mascara and everything. Definitely nice and dark and smoky. That wing, you know, it's there. It's ready to have a good time. But I'm going to zoom this out real fast so you can see the look in its entirety. Alright guys, so here's the look all zoomed out. I really do like this green on the inner part of the lid. The wing really grounds it. It kind of makes it a little bit more feisty, especially since mine is a little bit in charge. I really do like this look though, and I think that depending on how much liner you add, it really adds some depth so you can make it more daytime or nighttime depending. But anyway, let's get into look number 2. For look number 2, we're going to get started with our primer, and we're just going to put a little bit on the lid and dab it out with our fingers. Now because that base is sticky, I'm going to go in with the matte cream shade, and we're just going to be setting the crease area so that we have a nice transition. The stickiness really helps for the rest of the color though, so that's why I'm just being very specific about what area I am setting. I've decided to creatively call this look the Sunset Eye. I know, real original, but we're going to be playing with some of the pinks and browns, and I think it'll make a nice kind of a take on a smoky eye. So the first real color we're going in with is the matte burgundy shade, and I'm using it on a fluffy brush so that we can just start blending this pigment out. I would take it lower as opposed to higher, and we can always blend up. And a little bit of this color does go a long way, so just go slowly, take your time. Now this is definitely one of those eye looks that it's gonna look and feel a little scary until you get to the end. So if you feel like you're taking that pink a little bit higher, you can always go back in with that cream shade and just kind of blend out the edges. Right now though, I'm not gonna worry about it too much, and we're gonna start working on the second step. Next, we're going to be taking this shimmery burgundy shade, and I'm going to be tapping off all extra, and we're going to be packing this on the outer half of the eye and really deepening up that outer corner. And again, as I have less product on the brush, I feel, you know, confident to blend it up into that crease a little. All right, and I promise we're gonna be doing a little bit of some neutral. So to kind of ground this look, as I like to say, I'm going to be going in with this shimmery kind of bronze color. This we're gonna put all over the lid, and I'm actually just gonna go in with my finger. I find a lot of the times that the finger can apply shadow just so well, very pigmented, and it's also like a nice padded tool to kind of blend everything out as well. So I'm just going to be tapping this on the lid and then blending out as well. Hopefully now you can kind of see all of those shadows really coming together, creating this really beautiful sunset-y, smoky brown eye. We are going to do something now though that's a little bit more of a pop. This is a shadow placement that I tend to do in a lot of my looks, so this might be a little adventurous for people, so definitely, you know, you can always add up color, but we're gonna go into the Dazed palette, that colorful one. We're gonna take that orange shade, and I'm going to be putting this on a fluffy blending brush, and we're gonna be blending this into this upper inner part of this brow bone, is what I call it. And this is going to help not only blend some of these colors here, but I love this pop that it gives the eye. You can tell from the two looking. It's just so beautiful. It's kind of unexpected, and I think that it just adds something different. I'm always looking for fun ways to place color, and I mean, ever since I've been doing things this way, I feel like it just adds so much to a look without really doing anything. I don't know, it just finishes it for me. So I'm gonna be adding that to the other eye as well. And you can go as like pigmented with this as you want. You could do something subtle, you can do something more vibrant that kind of blends out. It's all up to you. I'm gonna go kind of somewhere in the middle. And while we're using that orange shade, I'm also going to take it and just start running it on the bottom lash line as a sort of transition shade, because we will go back in with that burgundy. To finish up the top eye, I'm going in with the blending brush we used before, and I'm just going in with a little bit of product and just making sure my blend is seamless. If there's any areas that I feel like need a little bit more work, but more than anything, I want these colors to really blend seamlessly into one another and then fade out into nothing. I'm also going to just deepen up that outer burgundy shade we used just a little bit to make sure it still pops. For the lower lash line, I'm going in with that matte burgundy shade, and I'm going to be running this pretty close against the lash line, and then we'll blend out later. Now, when you are putting pink so close to the eye, you do want to be careful. Sometimes it can look a little bit sickly. So another thing you can do to prevent that though is to use a more light toned or even white if you're going for something stark on the waterline, and it's going to give you a nice amount of separation from that red to your eye. For the liner, I'm going in with the Perfect Point Plus. This is just a creamy black, and I'm going to be putting a little bit on the lower lash line. I want to deepen it up so that, again, we can really have a distinction between that pink and just add a little bit more of a smoky look. I'm only putting the tiniest amount, and then I'm going to actually smudge out with the smudger. You can also use your finger, whichever is easier for you. I'm also going to take this and I'm going to tightline. And before we go in with mascara, the last thing that I'm going to do for this eyeshadow look, I'm going to be using the gold from the Dazed palette. And I'm going to be putting this on the inner corner, and I'm going to be dragging it a little bit down into the lower lash line. For me, this is what's really going to make this more of a sunset look, and I really like having that pop of gold. I'm also really fast just going in and adding a little bit more orange. The mascara we're going to be using is the CoverGirl Exhibitionist. This one gives quite a bit of volume. I really like it. So I'm just going to give my lashes a really generous coat, maybe even two. Alright guys, so here is the final look all zoomed in and up close. I really like this. I think that mascara, the liner, really adds some depth to this look that I think it needs so that you don't look sickly. I really, really enjoy it. But let me zoom out so you can see what this look looks like in its entirety. Alright guys, so this is the look all zoomed out. My eyes look so blue, and I really feel like this would be a great way to maybe do something a little bit more colorful if you're into those warm tones, the reds, the burgundies, even the warmer browns. I think this is like a really nice take where it doesn't look too, crazy. You don't feel like you're going too much out of your comfort zone, but then if you add those pops of like that orange and that gold, I think it really just gives it a little bit of a twist. So I hope you guys enjoyed this. Let's move on to look number 3. All right, so for look number 3, today we're gonna go with a more brown purple. I'm calling this the royal purple look. As always, we're starting by priming our lids with the Lid Lock primer, and I'm just gonna blend that out with my fingers. So first off, I'm just gonna get my crease ready for shadow. So I'm gonna take the matte shade in the Sunset palette. This is just the cream color, and I'm going to put that in the crease just so that way I can have a nice clean area to blend on that's not going to be too sticky and hold color where I don't want it to. Next, I'm going to be taking the warmest purple in the Dazed palette, and this is actually a shimmer, but we're going to be putting it in the crease. I find that this isn't overly metallic, so it works really well, and don't be scared to put something that's maybe not a flat matte into the crease. It can still produce a really beautiful eye look. So I'm going to be putting that into my crease and work that in as my transition shade. And just blending that up. These are some of my favorite types of purples, these warmer pinky purples. I think they are so pretty. And I'm building this color up quite a bit, so once I have that transition, I'm still just kind of bringing it into the outer corner and deepening it up, just getting a nice base going. Now that I have that built up, I'm going into the deepest matte brown in this Sunset palette, and I'm going to be just deepening up the outer corner and just kind of blending them in together. It's gonna turn into almost like this purpley brown in the outer corner, which is what we want. For the lid, I'm taking the champagne shade in the Sunset palette. It's so beautiful. I'm actually gonna foil it, and I'm going to be putting that all over my lid. And if you don't know what foiling is just when you take a shadow and you wet it so that it has just more pigmentation, and it usually looks a little bit more metallic. I'm just going back in with that matte brown just to kind of deepen up the outer corners. And then last, I'm gonna go in with the other purple in the Days palette. I'm gonna put it on my finger, and I'm just going to pat in between where we have the shimmery champagne and where we have the brown. And in that transition area, I'm just going to pat that purple down. This, I think, just gives it another tone. It just adds like an extra element to it. I really like adding this purple. For the lower lash line, we're gonna keep it in that purple family. I'm going in with that first warm purple we used, and I'm going to be putting this on the lower lash line, basically all the way from the inner corner-ish to the outer corner, mostly focusing on the outer corner though. And I'm blending it up into the top eyeshadow we have going on. I'm also going to be bringing in that cooler tone purple, and this we're going to be keeping more toward the outer corner and toward the lashes, but mostly in that outer corner. And then to keep with the royal theme, I'm going to be going in with a pop of gold on the inner corner. Again, I'm going to foil this shadow just so we get as much pigmentation as possible in that inner corner and like the brightest pop. So I'm going in with the gold shade, and I'm just going to spotlight that onto the inner corner. And then as I have less product on my brush, I'm gonna take that into the lower lash line. I think that's so fun. I love it. Okay, for liner today, I'm just gonna be using the Perfect Point Plus liner, and I'm going to be running a little bit of that. And when I say a little, I mean the tiniest bit on the lower lash line, and then I'm going to blend out with my fingers, and then I'm also going to tightline. And then to finish off the look, I'm going to be putting on the Exhibitionist mascara. I'm going to put on 1 to 2 coats on my bottom and top lashes. All right, guys, so here is the final look. I'll close up. I love this. It's probably my favorite one so far. I just love that purple, and then the contrasting yellow gold I think is just like a fun pop. But let me zoom out so you can see the look in its entirety. All right, guys, so here is the final look all zoomed out. I love it. I really, really do. You could always go with a softer gold on that inner corner if you want something just a little bit more tame, because you're already doing the purple. But if you want to like explore the color, I think this is a great way where you would still feel just so pretty. I feel so beautiful in this look. Anyway though, let's move on to look number 4, the final look. All right, guys, we've made it to the final look. If you've made it this far, get ready for some color, for some darkness. We're taking it there with this one. I have deemed this look Blue Smoke. We're gonna be doing a blue halo eye. It's kind of a black smoky eye as well. So there's a lot going on with it. And since I already have my makeup done, I'm gonna go in and just put a little bit of powder under my eyes so that way I don't get any fallout on them. I know it's a little intense and it's gonna be there the entire time we're doing this eye look, but I promise you it helps. So to start off, we're going to be priming our lids. Yes, yes, yes. And this is the Lid Lock Primer. Now I am gonna set this primer like we've been doing, but I'm gonna set the entire lid this time. Just because we're working with blues and blacks, those are 2 colors on my fair skin that tend to get out of control kind of fast. So I really want to have a really smooth blending area to work with, and putting down this matte cream shade from the Sunset palette is going to give us that. So I'm just setting that all over the lid. So I wanted to keep this look on that cool tone side, so I'm not gonna go in with any browns at the moment. I'm gonna go in with the blue, the lightest blue we have from the Days palette, and I'm kind of tapping it off. I'm really trying to get the least amount of product because we're just gonna start building up the color on the inner and outer corner. All right, so I've laid down that blue. I know it's a lot, but we're gonna just keep working. So I'm going to be, as we get in more and more and with darker colors, I'm gonna be using smaller brushes. So I'm gonna be using that same blue, but just with a different brush. And I'm gonna start packing this on the inner and outer corner. Just to build up some pigmentation and some depth before we go in with our charcoal gray. And then as I'm working that on, I'm also going to be taking that fluffy blending brush and just going along the outer edges, just making sure every step of the way we're just getting the best blend we possibly can. And so far this is all just with one shade. By building how we are applying and also by using different brushes with different densities, we're able to get a lot of dimension and depth with just one color. All right, I'm feeling great about where we're at. So next we're going in with this black gray shimmery shade, and we're going to be putting this into the inner and outer corner of this smoky eye. For the middle shade of this eye look, I'm going to just be patting on this navy blue, and I'm patting it on just in that center. Now that I have that navy laid on, I'm gonna go in with the champagne shade from the Sunset palette, and I'm gonna be just taking a little bit on my finger and I'm going to be dabbing it onto the center just to give a little bit of a highlight to that navy. So this is where we're at right now. I'm just blending out the outer corners, just making sure everything looks nice and blended. I'm gonna go and clean up underneath my eye so we can get started on the lower lash line. All right guys, so I'm all cleaned up. Let's get working on the lower lash line. I'm gonna go in with the light blue that we started off this whole look with. I'm just going to be buffing that into the lower lash line, meeting it up with the outside of the eye look we already have going on the top. And I'm blending it all the way into the inner corner. We're going full smoky. And then I'm going to blend out with just a clean blending brush. I know it's looking like a lot, but once we get on our liner and our mascara, it definitely pulls the look together. I'm going to be putting on the champagne shade for my inner corner, something a little bit like icy. I think it'll look really nice. Plus, a lot of these are looking like mattes, even if they're not straight mattes, so this just adds a nice sheen to the look. For my liners today, I'm going to be using the Get In Line Active Liquid Liner, and I'm just going to be putting a nice, fine little line of this on my top lashes, just to give them a little bit of a base. I'm not going to be winging it out, though. For the lower lashes and the tight line, I'm going to be using the Perfect Point Plus eyeliner, and I'm going to go, I don't want to go too heavy on the lower lash line, so again, I'm keeping it kind of to the outer corner like I do, and I will be smudging. I love a smudged look. And now last, I'm going in with the Exhibitionist mascara. And here is the final look. This is definitely a bit more advanced. This is level 4. It's the 4th look. Yes, I think this is so stunning. I freaking love this look. I feel sexy and just like mysterious. It's so beautiful. Anyway though, let me zoom us out so you can see what it looks like with the rest of my look. All right guys, so this is the 4th and final look. I love this blue smoke look. So pretty. That navy and that black really kind of tone it down. So it's not just that really bright blue all over, but then you have that peeking out through the blending, and I just think it's so beautiful. Anyway, I hope those 4 eye looks really inspired you guys to play with some color, maybe add a pop here, add a pop there. Maybe you can get adventurous and go all the way with the blue smoke here. All the different tips and techniques that I used in this video can be used with so many different colors, so you can get out there and just, you know, have fun, create different color combinations. That's always like one of the best parts. Let us know what your favorite look was in the comments down below, and thanks so much for watching. Bye.